Hello, welcome to This Day with BJ Arnett, and I am she. We are talking about a very interesting subject this day. You've got to recognize that there are some things that are done in the dark that you don't want to know anything about. And then there's some things that you have to take the time to recognize that God Himself shows us all of the things through His Word that are happening within the atmosphere. So be clear, be very, very clear how God moves. This may be a subject that's difficult for some to understand and difficult for some to get their minds wrapped around, right, Robert?
Yes,
but my guest is
absolutely.
Robert Harden, and this book about subtle possession. This is a fiction,
Yes.
but based upon some things that over the years, stories that you've heard.
Based upon a story that I've seen happen, I've had friends go through difficult situations and everything like this, and it kind of prompted me to write the book because I think people should be aware of what's going on in this world. We are in very perilous times, and not only is the book, I think, a good read, it's entertaining, but it helps you to open your eyes to what's going on.
Well, tell me about a little bit about Robert Harden first, and your journey and what brought you to even write. Is this what you studied? Is this what you always wanted to be?
Actually, no. I was never very good in English in high school. I was never a real good student or anything like this. And just, you know, the old story about how it always says God doesn't yell at you. God just kind of taps you on the shoulder sometimes.
Yes.
Well, He tapped me on the shoulder one morning when I was working on a golf course, and He said, "I have a project for you." And I said, "Well, you know, I'm not a writer, Lord. I'm not a writer. I don't know what I'm doing."
As if God didn't know what you are, right?
Yeah, He said, "Okay, no problem. I'll give you what to write. I'm going to put," and all during the day, the ideas just started rolling and rolling out like that. And actually, my first work was a screenplay. It was dealing with a completely different subject like that because my son is a motor cop for Gwinnett County.
Oh, wow.
And, or he was, he's a detective now. But anyway, and I was going to write something to benefit them. Well, that didn't work out too well. And so this came about.
So tell me the basis or what we say in the film world, give me the treatment of this story, that brief description of what this is all about.
It's about a character named James Thompson. He is married, and his marriage, like so many nowadays, goes south. And after 21 years, him and his wife, Susan, divorce. He meets a woman named Cynthia, whose first husband, unfortunately, does something that nobody should ever do, which is sell their soul for power and wealth.
Wow.
And we all know who he sold his soul to.
Yes.
And because of that, the sins of the father thing comes into play. He sells his soul to Satan, the devil, like that, but it's through the children, his children, him and Cynthia's children, where they really mess up the marriage between James and Cynthia. Kind of like, you know, if I can't have you, nobody can have you.
Right.
And this is what I'm going to do. So because of that, he goes through some pretty horrendous experiences, but they're not like, you know, turn your head around 360 degrees and spit a pea soup. It's more like the title suggests, subtle possession.
You know, these kinds of stories don't just pop up out of the air. You know, you said you were on the golf course working and God said, "I'll give you the story to write." Now, when we think of subtle possession, we don't think of necessarily that being a God story, that God would give us that kind of story. How did you answer people who said, "No, God gave me this story"? I know it seems kind of strange. I am a Christian and God Himself gave me this story.
God gave me the talent to write. He gave me the story like that, but He gave me also a firm biblical knowledge to kind of back that up. I too am a very devout Christian. I believe in God and believe in His Son, Jesus Christ. And this book, see, what am I trying to say here? It's not that He gave, that God...
Word for word.
Word for word.
Right. I understand.
God gave me the talent, and I think that's another thing that people need to realize, that too many people walk around in this world like this and they have talents that God gave them. God gave everybody talents. But it's up to us to accept that talent from the Lord and use it.
And use it.
Use it.
When you think of all of the people that you know that have gone through bad relational situations and relationships that, to use your term, gone south, marriages that have gone south, and you know, no one did the famous movie thing of head spinning around and spitting out pea soup, as you put it. But there were some true wounds, some true issues, some core things that you heard in their testimony and their stories that they were telling you, and then that you saw yourself writing, that you know good and well that it actually happened in someone's life that you know, or yourself, or this. What do you think about these subtle things that happen in someone's life that keeps them from reaching their full potential?
Reaching their full potential. It's like, okay, situation might be that you just feel something's wrong. You might look up to God, like I did on several occasions, and say, this can't be. I know what your idea of something is, and this can't be what you're talking about like that. That's when that personal relationship with Christ comes into play. Asking Him for guidance. You know, when people come up to me like that and they say, well, you know, I'm talking to friends on the golf course or whatever, and they say, well, Robert, I just don't know what's going on like that. And I said, well, you know, have you put it before God? Have you taken it to God and put it at His feet? Let Christ work on it. You let Christ work on it like that, marvelous things happen.
When you took a look at yourself writing, you know, like I do this when I'll do something, and then it feels like I'm stepping outside of myself, and I see myself doing it, and I'm like, where did that come from? How did that happen? How did I get the ability to do this? As you're writing this book, did you say to yourself, wait a minute, I realize God gave me the talent, but where is this story really resonating from? What's the core?
It goes back to when I was about 21, 22 years old. I knew at that time, I knew that there was something going on in this world that I needed to be a part of as far as telling other people. And everybody in my life at the time like that was like, oh, you know, I don't want to talk about the end times and everything. That scares me. Leave that alone. Well, I'll tell you what, it might scare you, but it's in our face right now.
Yeah.
And this is helping me to explain to people, this is what can happen. This can happen. I look at television shows all the time, and I watch them and I say, you know, that the scary thing is about this, that it can really happen. It can really happen. It happens every day. And people are just too oblivious.
Yes.
They walk around, they've got these little blinders on, and they're happy little lives and everything. I say, wake up, folks.
Yeah. There are things going on around you.
There are things going on around you right now that you just don't know about, either because you don't want to know about them or you're afraid of them. Better watch out.
There's some, you say that there are things going on around and about us that we don't necessarily want to deal with, right? As we take a look at what's going on in our political arena, what's going on in our, not just the United States, people think small, it's not about just the United States. It's about the world, the entire world.
Yeah.
As you take a look at all of the things that are happening, the AI situation, the people are now receiving a chip in their hand in order to have open access to their jobs, computers, and getting in the building, and so forth and so on. And then there's the AI computer that they had to turn off just in news the other day because it knew too much. And then there's on and on. There's all these things happening. There's all these things happening that on one side of the news they say, no, the missile didn't happen. On the other side of the news, yes, it did. You know, there's all these things happening. They're very subtle, but they are happening.
They are happening like this, and it's all about some red flag events.
Yes.
The thing about the chip like that, what does the Bible say? The chip is in the right hand
Yes.
or the forehead.
Yes.
Right hand, forehead,
Yes.
not the arm,
Yes.
not the left arm.
Yes.
Right hand, forehead.
Forehead.
You've got to know what to look for.
Yeah.
You've got to know the signs. I am a firm believer that nobody knows the day, nobody
Nor
knows
the
the
time.
hour, but people can be aware of the season.
Yes.
The parable of the fig tree is a good one. Okay, when you see the fig tree blossom, you know the spring is right around the corner. Okay,
Yeah.
when you see these things happening, that's time to wake up and take the blinders off.
Have you found that this being a Christian mystery novel has allowed people to become more open to discussion about the things that are happening around them versus being fearful and held back? The word should allow us to have a lighter feel, a come Lord come, a rejoice in the fact that he is coming, and he's coming back for a spotless and blameless bride called the church. We do recognize, however, that that is only 1/4 of the church because there's 4 types of ground and only one is good. However, when you put something like this, a Christian mystery novel out there that unearths some things that are spoken of softly in the background, do you think this kind of literature helps people have open discussion that will lead us back to what the Word of God says?
Well, in this book, in Subtle Possession like that, when you read, everybody that I have gotten a copy of this too, like that says that, oh, I can't believe James was like that. I can't believe he lived that long and everything like this. So everybody that reads it so far has made them think like either, you know, I'm in a situation like that, or I know somebody who's in a situation like that. And maybe this will help them. Yeah, so it would open discussion.
Open some dialogue.
Open
This
some
is your first book. Are you working on your second?
My second book is at the editor's right now. I hope to get it back this week, full of red marks.
That tells you what's going to come out of it.
Yeah, well, what's
or
gonna
what
come out,
you're going
what's
to
gonna go
have
in.
to
Oh,
ship.
you should have seen the first time I got this one back. It looked like a child attacked it with a red crayon. It was funny.
Well, thank you for opening up about some things that are normally left secret, normally left quietly in the background so that no one supposedly knows about it. It's called Subtle Possession. It is by Robert Harden, and it is a Christian mystery novel. And he has more books where that came from.
And I'm writing a screenplay also.
And he's writing a screenplay. And you're also an actor, I understand.
Yes. I'm a background actor. I've done some work on the movie Tag, on the movie Best of Enemies. So yeah, I do that because it's fun.
It is fun.
Plus, it gives me a good view of how sets are set up, how shots are taken, and everything like that. So it's helping me in my screenwriting.
It's helping you in your screenwriting. Well, look, there is no dream that you can't jump into and make reality. The question will be, will you have the strength, the fortitude, the faith to walk out your dream and make it a reality? There's nothing like doing the impossible and watch God make it a reality. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.